Boom. Awesome. Make sure we are good everywhere. All right. We are good. So we will give everyone just a couple minutes to kind of file in here. It usually doesn't take too long for people to start hopping in Twitch. And then a bunch of people also just kind of passively watch us on X.
Oh, cool.
And then whenever I get the comments from like the YouTube live stream, I always try to tell them, come over to Twitch because that's where everyone is actually in the chat. You're by yourself on YouTube. Awesome, guys. What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to give everyone just a couple minutes to file in here. Looks like we hit our little number relatively quickly. So actually, let's just not waste any time. Welcome. My name is Tyler, aka jboogs.creative, and this is a very special edition of our Thursday stream. We're going to put AI video and animation on hold until next week. However, today we are doing the last Q&A panel / general kind of conversation about Project Odyssey Season 2, because we are officially 1 week away from the submission deadline for Season 2 of Project Odyssey, which is super exciting. I've seen a couple of the entries so far, and it hasn't even been a full year, right? Like Season 1 wasn't even a full year.
It was in June to July. So yeah, when I catch myself sometimes when I say last year, it's actually 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's crazy how insanely better the quality has gotten in literally less than 12 months compared to what everyone made last time. And the stuff people made last time was crazy. So that being said, without getting ahead of ourselves, I am joined by Maddie, as you folks know, and I'm going to let Maddie go ahead and introduce the rest of the fine folks that are with us here today. Maddie, go for it.
Great. Yeah. So great to see everyone again. Maddie, I'm a VP partnerships at Civitai, but also run the Project Odyssey initiative. And so what we're trying to do here is ramp up for Season 2. There are a lot more entries. So we've brought on some amazing judges that we have here today. Claire is also one of the organizers. I'll let everyone introduce themselves. But today, kind of run of show is we're going to be going over the step-by-step submission instructions for people who are having maybe some trouble there, reviewing the key dates. There's some interesting ones, especially with we've extended our submission deadline by 72 hours throughout that final weekend. And then, yeah, just going over some of the different flows and prizes and things like that. But before we get into that, I'll hand it off to Claire, and maybe we can do I'm not sure what it looks like for everyone else, but a clockwise kind of popcorn.
Hi, everybody. My name is Claire. I'm working with Maddie on Project Odyssey Season 2. I am serving as the marketing director. So if you have any questions, feel free to DM us on our social channels, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Cool.
Perfect.
Welcome, Eliza, too. And we're going to be doing a little bit of intros. So welcome everyone who's Eliza, who's another one of our judges.
You got here just in time.
Awesome. Yeah, I just saw that the link to join, but yeah, good to be here with you guys.
Awesome. Should I go next? I'm next on my screen. I don't know if
Yeah,
this is...
yeah. No, we're all in the same order. Boom.
Yes, perfect. My name is Yiğit. I'm a filmmaker. I use AI to make short films, trailers for proofs of concepts of movies, music videos, commercials, hybrid ones or completely AI ones. So that's pretty much what I do. I'm also the creative director at Real Dreams, which is an AI community, and we do a bunch of cool stuff like events, competitions like this, and yeah, that's what I do.
Awesome.
Amazing. Yijit, good to see you again, bro. I'm Jack. I'm representing everyone from 11 Labs today. for all your audio needs. Of course, any questions, send them my way if they're audio related. Before that, had about 15 years experience doing many things in sound. But super pumped about Project Odyssey and can't wait to see all your amazing work.
Awesome, Eliza.
Right. Well, I'm Eliza. Super excited about Project Odyssey season 2. I've heard amazing things about season 1, and Claire and Maddie are amazing. So super privileged to be here. When it comes to my background, been mostly in the media industry in different capacities. So for the past decade or so, I've been an editor on like docuseries, some narrative work. I've been in the live sports broadcast space as well. And sort of in a multimedia capacity with journalism. Currently, I teach part-time at a university, so like video and animation, and photojournalism, and I also work for Adobe on the technology partner team for our video apps. So very much thinking about videos and films all the time. And super excited about, I think, just the overall vision of Project Odyssey and how this has all been shaping up in the past year or so. Like, I think the conversation around the impact of AI on the industry is one that's super relevant. So I'm very excited to see the submissions for season 2 and to get involved in some capacity.
Awesome. Definitely interested to hear some of your takes as this conversation evolves over the hour. But yeah, guys, welcome. Thank you all for joining us. And Maddie, I'm gonna let you kind of guide this and kick us off here.
Great. And then Eliza was also the winner of the Machine Cinema AI Film Competition recently. I also want to plug that. They're one of our community sponsors too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Machine Cinema was great.
Yeah. For everyone in the chat too, we're gonna get through your questions at some point. So please put your questions and comments. We'll probably do that a little later in the session after we get through the more structured agenda. But keep them coming. We're happy to answer everything, and some of your questions might be answered by the material we go over. So Tyler, I'm gonna start screen sharing.
Yes. And then for everyone that's on the panel, just whenever you guys are able to, in our little private chat thing, can you send me the best social for you? And then throughout the stream, I'll go ahead and share your socials to everyone in the chat.
Sure.
Cool. So I am now on the, oh wait, I'm not sure if is it sharing?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I am now on the projectodyssey.ai website, which we have that, and then we also have the Discord. So if someone wants to drop that in the chat, the Discord invite if you're not on there yet. But both should have up-to-date information. So key information, we have all of our sponsors and things, but the key update that we've just decided on yesterday was we're gonna extend the deadline by 72 hours throughout that weekend, just so to give people a little bit more time. The holidays were busy, life is busy, and also especially we want to give people a little more time to work on their behind the scenes entries. So we'll have a little bit more time for that, and then just whenever you can, you upload it to the submission flow. And how do you do that, you might ask? Well, on the website, there's this big submit button. You can also go to, I believe it's civitai.com/Project Odyssey _season 2. I'll drop that in the chat. And that brings you to our submission instructions. So here I have a step-by-step video where I record how to do it. I'll do it live as well today. And it just walks you through with screenshots. It's in the newsletter as well, how to do it, how to add your title, category. If you worked on the film with other people, you can invite collaborators. I've seen a lot of people, Tyler, inviting yourself and myself as collaborators.
Yeah.
Please don't invite us.
I'm getting nonstop collaboration invites on Civitai.
Yeah. Don't add us unless they actually worked on that. We gotta fix that. This section right here, the tools section, is very important. So that's where you list the tools that you used. You can say how you use them. You can also add a custom thumbnail. Once you've submitted it, it'll go into this. You'll get this notice that we're generally trying to review it within 72 hours, and then once it's approved or rejected, in some cases, it'll get a notification. And you can always edit it, add more tools, change the description, and then it'll. If you want to share it on social media, I'll show how to do that too. Going into that flow, this go to the Project Odyssey Season 2 competition collection. That brings you here, where you can see all of our entries. These are all of the ones that have currently been approved. So I think we have over 1,500 so far, around 70 hours if you really
Crazy.
and more to come, especially in this last week. A lot of people, wait till the last minute or, are putting as much effort as they can into it. But you can organize it by category. You can also organize it by tool. So if I want to see all the things made with Kling, I would just type that in. Oh, well, I don't know why that's not showing up, but I'll check on that. Let's try Civitai. Okay, great. That is working. So you can see all of the different things in the category, and then for any of them, you just click into it, and then you can view it from there. Once your video is approved, you'll be able to share it either through the Civitai link, or you can also go to the video link, the Vimeo link, if you want to embed it. But that's the best way to share it with your friends and family after it's been approved. If you try to share it before it's been approved and before it's been assigned a rating, it won't show up for them. It'll show up as a 404 page, and that's to prevent people from uploading terrible things, and then so we have this manual review just for safety and protection. In terms of the submission process, you just go to this submit an entry button. You can drag your file in. I'm going to use Midjourney Man's judging intro. You add your title. You add your category. This one's really important. If you want to add a description. And then it's linked to your Civitai account. So if you have any of your socials there, you can add that too. If you worked on people, as I mentioned, only tag people that you actually worked with. You can have them and it'll show up on their profile too. Let's see. Yeah. So it'll show up there. Give it a second. We take MP4 and WebM. We do not take MOV. Videos can be 20 gigabytes, 4K, up to 15 minutes. And then they also have to follow our different rules. So that's for some categories, they have slightly lower time limits. Just because a movie trailer is around 2.5 minutes, or a spec ad is around 60 seconds. And then also we have our different categories where you can see the examples to see last year's winners and see what we're looking for. And I think, let's see, social media also has a 9:16 aspect ratio, but all of the other categories are pretty freeform, and we're very open-minded. Coming back to my upload, you want to add the tools that you use. So this will make you eligible for additional prizes. So if I'm going to add our title sponsors, Lambda, Civitai, 11 Labs, great. They'll show up there. And then I click submit. Cool. And so now my video is submitted, and it's going to be awaiting a rating and things that'll generally take 72 hours. And then once it's approved or rejected, you'll get a notification up here. I'll take a little bit pause for questions if anyone has any questions on the uploads. Some people have been having issues where their submission hasn't been showing up, and that's because they've either like deleted the video, then re-added the video, or removed it from the collection. So if you have that issue, just feel free to re-upload. That is always a surefire way to hopefully fix any issues. And then if you're still having those issues, just message me on email at hello@projectodyssey.ai or on Discord, and I'm pretty responsive, especially on the Discord. But cool, that's most of it on how to submit, how to view. Oh, and then I might screen share one more time, Tyler, just to
Yep.
sorry. Just
No,
to
all good. You
show
can
the
just
price.
keep your screen share going, and then I can just turn it off and on for you.
Yeah. Cool. So we have all those different eight categories, and we have the main prizes for all of those main categories. Definitely give behind the scenes and the VFX and rendering categories some love. They have a low number of submissions, so we want to so it's a lot of opportunity there to win. You also get this cool badge on Civitai animated by Tyler and Brittany. If you tag those tools, how I added those Civitai or other tools, you'll also qualify for additional cash prizes. And it's not a separate category. It's along with it's independent of your main category submission. So you could technically win the narrative prize and the Civitai prize, or the narrative prize, the Civitai prize, and the Kling award. It's all based on, these are determined by the that company, whereas the main categories, that's determined by our full amazing judging panel, which you can check out on our About page. For those prizes, I think it totals around $70,000. You can check on that page, projectodyssey.ai/prizes, and you can see all of the different ones. The title sponsors have first, second, and third, whereas the gold sponsors have their first place champion. So make sure to use those in your submission. Some, like Real Dreams, will be they don't have an AI filmmaking tool. They're a wonderful community, and so they will be choosing their film based off merit. So just the best films that their judge or representative thinks that they'll deserves it. Yeah, so that's a little bit of overview. I'd love to kind of do a little roundtable, talk to the judges to learn more about what are the things that you're looking for when you're watching these films. I'm sure you've all seen a lot of AI films. What's really going to make it stand out or go to that next level for sound, for video, for story? What do you think is going to pique your interest when it comes to selecting these winners?
Yeah, I want to hear from you guys. I'll go last since everyone always has to listen to me talk every week.
Yeah, I'm happy to go first. For me, so far, it's always been in AI videos. It's about how realistic can it be, how good are the tools. I think we've gotten to the point where you can literally make anything now, and it's more gonna be obvious how good the story is, or how experimental you're being is going to be the determining factor, as opposed to how realistic your movie looks, or how consistent your character is. Obviously these things are important, but for me especially, it's going to be about going that extra mile, already having all of those other things that I just said, but on top of that, having a good story, good visuals, good choices, good editing, and sound is a big part of it. I'm sure Jack will talk more about that as well, but yeah, I can leave that to you on that note if you want.
Yeah, great segue, Yijit. Yeah, I'll be looking at all things, sound. Obviously, I'm super biased towards that. And again, everything from, you got your music, voice, and sound effects. Just a beautiful combination. There's no rules in sound, just as the way there's no rules in visuals. So super excited to see everyone's expressions in it. But at the same time, story is core, right? You can have all your technical abilities, but I remember one of my favorites from last year was, I'm going to butcher the name, but Riefenstahl by Mark, which was just like amazing storytelling. So yeah, storytelling is always king.
Yeah, I second everything that's been said. But I think it's really a perfect blend of like vision and execution, right? Like that's what's going to make something stand out, in my opinion, especially with how quickly technology is developing as well. I think we're seeing just a shift in terms of the market and who's making films too. Like it's not, we're having people not just in charge of like one part of the whole end-to-end workflow for filmmaking, but like more and more folks are interdisciplinary in nature and kind of owning this whole end-to-end workflow. So I think if a film really captures that, like both vision and then execution, right? Whether that looks like sound design, character consistency, but also tells a really powerful story at the end of the day. That's going to be what really stands out. So yeah, I would say that I'm personally looking for story is king. But when it comes to an execution, the execution side of things, not necessarily flawless, because we know all these tools are still developing. But does it actually capture the essence of what that vision was? Can I personally feel and identify with that vision and story? I think that's what's going to really resonate with the masses, right? With anyone who watches films to begin with. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
For me, since I'm particularly specifically judging for the advertising and the marketing, I'm looking for 4 different main things. Obviously, like everybody else, storytelling is always important, regardless if you're creating commercial or ads. That's number one thing. But I'm also looking for our direction or overall creative direction, the consistency of the style between different transitions, different scenes. Is the style overall mood, look, feel is consistent? That is also important for me. If you have a character or subject, I also look for those consistency as well, especially if you have the physical product being represented in your ad. I would love to see the consistency there. And next one for me is creativity / uniqueness. And I think it's really important, especially with AI generated stuff. It tend to sometimes, if you don't have that specific like feel and look, your stuff are just gonna look very similar as others. So I think I'm always looking for something that's really unique, sort of a point of a view or unique look and feel. Next one is also very important since it's in commercial advertisement, a brand alignment, whether or not this is aligned with brand positioning, messaging, or if it's on brand in a way. It could be creative. It could be something very different than what the brand usually create, but the message needs to be aligned with the brand. So those are the points I'm looking for specifically for under the marketing and advertisement.
Cool. I might screen share again, Tyler, before we jump to.
Here, wait. Before we call out Maddie, let me just kind of give my 2 cents in there too. A lot of people that submit to Project Odyssey, with a lot of folks that are diving into AI filmmaking from traditional filmmaking, there's just as many people that are going at this now, since they don't need to go buy a camera. They don't need to they don't need all the things you would normally need to go make a video. So there's a lot of people diving into this for the first time. I want to remind everyone that what we see on the screen is only 50% of the equation, and the other half of it is what we hear. What I see a lot with a lot of newer people getting into this, which I just want to make a call out because there's a week left to get your videos kind of tightened up and whatnot, is that the sound is just as important as how good everything looks. I'd argue it's almost more important. If the sound is perfect with every scene, it could actually carry visuals that might not be as high fidelity or stunning as someone who focused so much on the output and just laid a musical track underneath. So take some time, even if your thing is narrative and there's a song underneath your video, do some sound design, bring the atmosphere in these videos you're making to life, and give it just like give your generations some real feeling. Even if you don't have a subscription to a site like Artlist or Epidemic or something like that, there's plenty of free sound effects you can
You got
download.
free Pick Tunes and 11 Labs as well.
There you go.
11 Labs text less effect.
But you can even grab free sounds off of something like YouTube. So just put in some extra time. If you see something on your screen that looks like it should be making a sound, go find that sound somewhere and put that sound in there. I promise you it's going to make your video stand out, and it's going to make it 100 times better. But that's my input. Focus as much on the sound as you do on the visuals.
And for sound too, Jack, maybe, you have some thoughts on this, but the best sound design maybe isn't even that noticeable, where it's so part of the film, where it's not, really, if you see a bird in the background, it's not like squawking, but maybe you just hear the most, subtle, bird flapping of the wings in the background. It's all part of that soundscape, and making it natural. When the music comes in, maybe, dipping the music as your voiceover, so they don't compete for each other. All these little tips and tricks like that.
Yeah, it really adds to the craft as well.
Yeah.
It shows how much detail you went into.
Yeah, for sure. And like when you're saying like, sometimes there's a bit of a battleground for your attention. So, and it's a mistake that even people who are really experienced make. It's like, I always imagine you're making some food. And just so you're making some food, you want to make it a bit spicy. You want to add some, flavor. But if you just keep adding more and more and more and more and more and more, it gets too much. So sometimes, experiment, but sometimes, it's the subtlety things work really well too.
A little goes a long way.
Yeah.
I think it was
Exactly.
like George Lucas maybe who said like sound is 80%, audio is 80% of what makes a successful video. 100% sound is so important, and like most often I'd say less is more. And that's really what separates amateur work from professional as well. Just in terms of like in the traditional filmmaking space, that's really what stands out.
The thing.
But if you have like,
oh no,
Sorry,
go for it. Go for it.
I just say like, of course, I'm always going to be biased, but if you have like two films, one has good sound and bad visuals, it's terrible. But other way around, if you have good visuals and bad sound, it could be party. So there's something in the brain which always like really it makes you go, this is like freaking me out if something is auditorily strange. So. But yeah, I'm always gonna be saying that, aren't I?
But what I will say before I move on is that from season 1 of Project Odyssey to now season 2, I've seen a lot of work already from people from Civitai, because that's the community that I frequent all the time. Where when I first started doing these streams, they were just generating images with Stable Diffusion 1.5, and then they started animating, and now it's been super cool to see everyone evolve with the tools and everyone constantly pushing themselves to get better, and people use this competition and this platform now as an excuse to push themselves to get better, and they really use this as an opportunity to, okay, I'm gonna level up, win, lose, or draw. I'm gonna come out of this better than I was before, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. A couple other add-ons, editing and pacing. I think that's really a differentiator for me. How are you cutting together your shots? Just because we have a 15-minute limit, time limit for some categories, that doesn't mean you need to reach it. Think intentionally about what shots you're including. Do they advance the story of what you're trying to achieve? Similarly on that note, I have some other, let me screen share again. For our final judges, there's not a strict criteria. All these judges can bring in their own experiences and bring in their own backgrounds to judge the films. However, I'm kind of organizing it as these four categories. So theme, does your film meet the requirements of the category? For example, if you submit a narrative film to the social media category and it's not 9:16 and it's not under 60 seconds, you might get some points deducted. Um, does your film tell a story on that emotional level or provide a lasting impression? So not you can have a story through a music video, you can have a story through a a rendering and VFX piece, but is there some type of takeaway rather than just a rehashing of what's already popular? Originality is something I look forward to. Of course, it's cool to do fanfic. It's cool to make spec ads for these amazing brands. But it's also amazing if you're able to do something new and original and putting your own spin on it. I can't tell you how many kind of cyborg girl videos I've seen. Some of them are very well done, but it's something that gets it gets old at a certain point. So I think part of the amazing part about AI is you have all of these possibilities. You can do anything in your entire imagination. So, why not do something that no one's ever done before? And then finally, execution. Does it have that good production value? So those things that we were talking about, editing, pacing, and then yeah, I think this is under represented one, text and title. So if you have your intro logo, if you have the logos at the end, is it kind of nicely and artfully done, or is it just are you throwing that logo on there? Um, yeah, so that's a little bit of a summary there. I think we can get into some of the questions unless people had any of the other judges had final thoughts.
There were a couple questions I saw from a few various people that were all kind of centered around the same thing. So I figure we should probably answer it. If they make their submission like right before the deadline, and then something is wrong with it when it's being reviewed, will they have any time to resubmit it, or is that kind of like out of luck because they submitted so close to the deadline?
I'd say there's no guarantee. Right now, I am providing people reasons for why it's getting rejected, and not many films are getting rejected. It's only if it's, really gratuitous in terms of sexual stuff or violence or blood and gore. We allow a little of that, up to an R rating, but anything that goes beyond that is no go. That includes comedy. If you're doing things that are disparaging other groups, racist, sexist, etc. We don't allow that in the competition. But if you submit it now, and maybe you weren't aware of that, I'll give you a rejection reason. We'll kind of follow up with you. Otherwise, we'll just maybe take off some points. So maybe you have the best ever trailer, but you put it in the social media category by accident. You can edit it up until the deadline. And you can add those tools as well afterwards. It's always fine to edit and add those tools. But I'd say the benefit of doing it early is so you can get that feedback, because we have a really high volume of videos. I think there are 200 videos that need review in the queue right now. So we have some time for it now, but we won't as the deadline comes closer to it. And we've given people an extra 72 hours. So the deadline is now at January 19th at 11:59 p.m. PT. So if you want to make any changes ahead of time, if you want to re-upload your piece, you have a totally new cut. After this, you've live stream, you decided to redo your sound design. Awesome. Just re-upload your piece.
And then are we planning on letting people know if their video kind of made it past the preliminary and are going to the final judging round? And if so, what's kind of like the general timeline they could expect to hear that by?
So hopefully, we have all of our preliminary judges here, but we all have our own lives and schedules, and hopefully with the amount of volume, it's a manageable amount. Of course, whatever the amount is, we're going to make sure that it's watched and reviewed. But that might mean it might take an extra week or so. But we'll let everyone know ahead of time. Right now, the general estimate is around January 30th. We'll have all of the preliminary voting done. And so that we'll have the top 25 in each category, and that will go on to the finals. Of course, we'd love if the final judges could watch every single film. That's just not feasible. That's not scalable, right? If you had some of these top people watching 70, 100 hours of films, that would either extend the deadline for the entire kind of judging process by perhaps months. Maybe we wouldn't be able to get these high profile people. So it's kind of that balance of we want to make it fair. We want to make it so that the best work gets reviewed, and everyone has a fighting chance at it. And all of the judges here have seen so many AI films. They know the craft. They know, so they're very well respected in their field. So we hope that you put your trust in us.
And we did away with that community vote, right? Because we didn't want any part of this to turn into a popularity contest.
Yeah, I think the community vote, it was we wanted the community to have a voice last season in selecting the winners. It's just hard to moderate, and especially with the influx of number of submissions this time, we decided to go with a more streamlined process. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
I think those were all of the biggest questions that I saw coming up repeatedly.
Winston asks, when we submit our video, it needs to be approved before it goes live. Yes, it needs to be approved before you can start sharing it. Otherwise, it'll just show up as that 404 error. Can one send 2 music videos? So you can submit to multiple categories. You can make up to like 15 submissions, but each submission has to be unique. So, for example, you can't have, if you made one video, you can't submit it to every single category. You have to pick a category that it goes in. Of course, you can submit multiple music videos or multiple narratives, but no repeats. Where can I see that my upload is completed and that someone will look at it? You'll get the notification on Civitai. Channel 42 asks, oh yeah, Channel 42, I think you may have been adding some people as collaborators. I think only if they actually worked on the piece with you, you could add them as a collaborator. And then they can accept that request on their end. If you use their Laura or their resource, add it in the resource section. I think that'll be the best place to highlight it. Number of entries in BTS. I'm not screen sharing anymore, right? Yeah, okay. It's not many. So let's see. Behind the scenes, I think we have around 14. So we would really appreciate if you make some more behind the scenes submission about your work, about your story as the artist. I think with AI, maybe the judges here have thoughts, but it's hard to see. It seems like this black box, especially for the critics of it, where people make these AI films, but there's so much love and craft and artistry that goes into it that just really isn't seen, because that's not what goes viral, or that's not what people are making videos of. But that's honestly my favorite category, having that human element, showcasing how people, what inspired them to make these projects.
Yeah, and then just to call out, since we're kind of at the peak of the stream right now, the VFX and rendering category, guys, this year we left that a lot more open to interpretation, whereas last year we provided you guys with a already made 3D scene that Enigmatic E made, and we gave you guys the depth pass and the open pose and all the control nets and everything. That category could use a little bit more love, and that means that if you submit to that category, you probably won't have nearly as many people that you're going to be pitted up against as some of the other categories like narrative or music video. So all my open source guys, this one is for you. I want to see more cool anime div videos and videos coming out of all of the open source software, because I know that a lot of people submitting this season are using Kling and Minimax and all these tools, but don't sleep on that VFX and rendering category.
Yeah, and similarly to the categories, there are some tools that need some extra love. So Vigil, Hedra, RunPod from our gold and silver sponsors, Higgsfield as well, Think Diffusion. Please use these in your projects if you can. They have some great free trials, so check them out. Let's see. Claire, I think there's a question for you.
Yeah, I see that question. Winston asked Claire said continuity in brand, but if we want to give a company new look. So I said two separate things. I said art direction and consistency in that direction of the style you created. And I also said a separate thing. I'm looking for brand alignment. That doesn't mean you cannot create a different look and feel. I encourage that because that hit one of the point for the creativity and the uniqueness I'm looking for. But if you are doing something very new for the brand, very unique, I'm looking for some sort of a the messaging of the brand needs to be on brand. Say, for example, if you want to do a Coca-Cola spec ad, the message for Coca-Cola is bring joy to people's life. But you can create a ad that's not bring joy, that's bring sorrow or sadness, then that's not on brand. So that's what I mean. So just want to clarify that. But you can absolutely do a new look and feel, but it just needs to be the message of your ad commercial needs to be on brand for that particular brand.
Peter asks if my trailer is 2 minutes. Trailer actually is 2.5 minutes for the time limit. We will still accept things over the time limit. You'll just get some points deducted. If you put a 5-minute trailer, so try to stick to the rules as closely as possible. Tyler, I just put in the Reifenstahl video. Someone had asked for that link.
I dropped it I put it in the chat for everyone. So wait, what was that link for? For how to install Rife?
No, it was for Jack's favorite of last year, which was
got it.
From Particle Panic.
Careful, everyone! It's a heavy video, so easy historical thing. But yeah, I just thought with like Mark who made it, it's impressive when sometimes it's really good to be creative and just kind of like create, and that's amazing. And then some other kind of filmmakers do this thing where they obviously start with a very precise vision, and I find it really impressive how those people can actually accurately make what they kind of original thought of. And it's a really interesting part of history as well, which I think we could all learn a thing from. So
Sergio for the win asks about entries made 2 months ago or over 2 months ago. So we're accepting things that have been made in the past 90 days from the so that's like anytime after October 14th, just in case you didn't have some time in the holidays or you made some amazing piece, kind of in between Project Odyssey season 1 and season 2. So we're allowing that to be submitted. But we will be doing a verification pass. So if, for the finals or for the final awards, we're going to be asking you to prove that, it wasn't made, a year ago. Of course, I think the more recent things will have better quality in terms of the consistency. But we're allowing some of those previously made pieces to be made. But we will be checking that. Yeah. So don't worry. Everything will be checked and verified to make sure it's fair. All right, cool. Well, that's it from me on our agenda, but we can. What do you think, Tyler?
I want to hear from, because obviously there's a bunch of people watching this right now that are smack dab in the middle of working on their thing. I would like to hear what you guys on the panel, as well as from the chat, what you think the biggest challenge is with taking on one of these projects. And obviously AI helps us get through a lot of the hardware challenges and the physical challenges and the monetary challenges. But what do you think are the most difficult parts of crafting a compelling story and really putting something together that almost makes you forget that it's AI when using these tools? That's open to anyone.
Even the judges.
Yes. I'm asking you guys.
Yeah. Go on, Jack. Okay, yeah. For me, something that I always notice in myself as well is not being flexible in the shots you're going to generate, or even your script is a bit of a problem sometimes with AI, because sometimes you write something that has a lot of detailed scenes, a lot of close-ups, a lot of consistency in some things that are maybe not too achievable, or it is achievable, but you're going to have to spend like 2-3 hours generating. You have to be able to kind of let your generations direct the piece a little bit as well, and then be able to kind of bend it in a way, maybe even a different ending from what you originally thought, or edit it in a little bit of a flashier way, but if a different way than you originally thought. Maybe it's more fast paced than you thought. Um, Maybe there's more cuts. So that's personally what I always end up doing. I end up kind of straying from my original vision. And most of the time it ends up even better. So it's a nice exploration as well.
I think that goes hand in hand with thinking about AI more as like your personal collaborator rather than just a tool you're using, where you bring an original idea to it.
Yeah.
It gives you a version of your idea, and then you meet it somewhere in the middle, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jack, go for it. Or Eliza.
Jack, go ahead and I'll follow you.
I'll try, but I was going to say exactly what you just said. It's like such a, as you were saying, like the flexibility, because I was guilty for many years. You have this vision in your head, and you're like, it's a good idea, I'm going to do exactly that. But at some point, you have to kind of swallow your pride sometimes, and it's a really healthy exercise because you learn a lot about the process, you learn a lot about yourself, and you tend to like make a better thing if you learn to adapt and see how the vision evolves with you.
Yeah, I think this was mentioned earlier, and it's part of the criteria as well, but the emotion piece. I just wanted to echo that and what Maddie had said about that. There's going to be compromises when it comes to how the film an output actually looks like. You have to adapt along the way. Sometimes, what videos and films end up looking at may not exactly fit the original vision. But what really I think makes an end result in films stand out is that how it makes people feel. And I think that sometimes gets lost in the process. I think with AI, that actually is some of that power comes back to creators, because you're removing a lot of the barriers that currently exist in traditional filmmaking, right? It's you as the person really owning the entire process are the director, the producer, the editor, the sound designer. And in that way, that's removing a lot of barriers that currently exist in traditional filmmaking. And with those barriers somewhat removed, can that story really shine through? I think that's really key. And across all categories, I'd venture to say, like, even ads that resonate with us nowadays, are the ads that make us feel something. And clearly you need that execution piece, and good sound design, good character consistency, and all of that. But do all your shots, are they cohesive? Do they match up? Do they tell a consistent story? I think is really what will stand out at the end of the day, and make the audience resonate with that. So that's definitely a priority in terms of what I'm personally looking for. Yeah.
Awesome. Just to there. So Winston had a comment here asking how we're removing judging bias, because there's so many different kind of like avenues that people go when making stuff with AI, and weird stuff is so compelling to make with this technology, right? Like, I don't get me wrong, I love my weird videos. When we're talking about something like Project Odyssey, and when we're looking at stuff in this capacity, and I can speak for myself, I would like to think that this speaks for most of the people that are in the judge position. But at the end of the day, I think that it's really comes down to what pieces actually make us feel something when we're watching it, beyond just looking cool. Because at this point, we're watching so many things, not just while we're judging this, but on a daily basis, right? On our phones. And it's like, it's not easy. I mean, it's easy to scroll Instagram for 10 minutes and see 10 things that blow you away, but the things that you'll save and share are the things that make you feel something. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's always the answer, right?
And I think there is going to be bias, right? There always is. We have our own subjective opinions. You can't keep it completely objective, especially for creative things. We all have different preferences of what we like the best. I think the ways we're trying to reduce that is having these general guidelines, being able to pick respected figures to do the judging, who know the craft, who know what kind of good quality AI films are, and also averaging. We're going to be averaging all the scores so that it doesn't get heavily weighted to any one judge or company. And we have a lot of judges from a variety of backgrounds: research, art and creativity, film production, independent creators, to try and give that diversity of opinions, and all of that will be averaged and kind of contribute to the final score.
There was a comment that just got made that I want to read out real quick, because I think this is probably a challenge that most people face, and not even people that are new to making things, but just people that make things in general. Is Insidious says, I think my biggest challenge is knowing when to stop and not overdoing it, as in I make way more content for each piece than will fit in the piece, and I struggle with cramming too much or not having room for what I really want in there. And he struggles with adding too many effects and adding too many filters. When I am editing something, there's something that got told to me when I first started video editing, and that phrase was, you have to kill your darlings. And you can't get emotionally attached to everything you make, and you need to be willing to strip as much stuff away. And just like you got to take stuff away as much as you can until you find that feeling in it. Overdoing it is very easy to do with everything that we have available to us.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
especially with so many, you got to prioritize, right? The enemy of good is perfect. You could spend infinite time on one of these films, but maybe there are different areas of your film that need a little extra love or attention. Especially with the deadlines, we try to, keep the deadlines in a place where it's enough of a challenge, but also and a constraint, but also has that flexibility.
Yeah. A rule that I've followed in my time as an editor is the rule of 85, like 85%. No video is ever going to be fully done, but you kind of just stop at like that 85% point, call it done, and consider it more a win to have a video that tells a clear story versus a video with too many effects. But at the end, but after watching a video, that confuses your audience. So what's going to stop the scroll? And I think I saw a comment earlier as well about like simple and subtle details really add a lot. And yeah, that's definitely key at the end of the day. So that the videos really do resonate, like Maddie was saying, with a diverse panel of judges.
And if you find yourself having a difficult time adding too many effects, take all the effects away and add more sound. And I promise you, it'll probably be better for it. Yeah. Right, Jack?
You said it.
And color grading too. I think it's easy to go overboard with that, but actually simplicity will win out. Yeah, especially
make sure all of your shots are in the same environment and you don't need to overcorrect anything.
Yep.
Yeah, and have a Lincoln style, like as you were saying about earlier, the biases. Like obviously, one of my favorite ones was like that super dark thing. But one of my favorite creators of all time are like, is it Ethereal Girl
and
Ethereal Girls?
Yeah,
like yeah, exactly. They have like this such, not childish, that's the wrong way of saying it, but their style is so that way. But they've nailed that niche so good. So if you haven't checked them out, they're such good storytellers in their own way.
Yeah, it reminds me of who's that director who does like all like Sweeney Todd or the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And but that everyone knows that director. The other one I like is like Nice Aunties. They have some like an
Yeah.
interesting kind of
Yeah.
visual style to it.
I love the people on Instagram that completely have built their own little like AI cinematic universe, and every post they make is just like adding on to the overarching story. And if you were to aggregate everything they posted on their page, it could literally be its own like 2 hour long full length feature film.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. People nodding say Tim Burton. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah. And yeah, and shout out to Schmeed. Is that how to pronounce it, Tyler? Who's been doing
Yes.
all the axolotl? There are a couple
Yes.
axolotl submissions that I've really enjoyed.
Yes, the Axolotl King. He was on the stream 2 weeks ago, and he gave everyone a lot of really great nuggets on training Laura's.
Cool.
Awesome. Do any of you guys have kind of like any last words or any kind of like closing statements or anything you just want to tell the people before we kind of like are officially at the 1 week mark before this whole thing seals up?
I'm just excited to see the submissions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to
Same.
encourage people to submit your film, the one you've done or the one you are currently making. Like everybody said, nothing's ever going to be perfect. So the 85% and know when to stop, not overdoing it. And like knowing the deadline is set there as a hard deadline and we extended. So, and there's so much, opportunities in different categories. Like Maddie said, there are a few categories are not a lot of submissions, so you have more chances to win there as well.
Yeah. And ultimately just have fun. Honestly, this is a great, like, I wish I could join this because it's not a client project. You have full creative control except for some general rules. Yeah, just have fun with it. And that's why it doesn't have to be perfect either. If it looks good to you, then if you achieve your vision, then yeah, you're in a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't make something for us. Make something that you think is cool. Because you don't know me. but yeah, but yeah, make something which you personally think is cool, and chances are other people will.
Yeah, kind of on that note, Tyler, we talked about this a little too, but new year, new me, right? Take this as a way to kickstart your creative journey into 2025. Do it not for the purpose of winning, but for growing your skill set, for evolving, for getting better as an AI filmmaker. And if winning comes, along with it, great. That's the cherry on top. But I think the way why we're trying to do this is to really push everyone forward and get to that next level. I think back to my first ever AI film or even my first film in general when I was like in middle school. It wasn't very good. But that process of my fifth film, my 20th film, right? That's what we really want to be able to promote and kickstart people on so that you get your start now. And then, we want to see the amazing things that, come down the line. Neon, I'm going to answer your question. So Neon asks, it's not clear about submissions. It sounds like we should submit right now before it's done. No, I would not say
no. Do not submit it before it's done.
Yeah, I finish it when it's done, but done is subjective. You could it's just deciding that point of when do you feel it's ready versus spending any X amount of time on it. Being able to find that balance of when you feel it's in its final form.
I think maybe they meant before it's done, as in before the competition is done, before the review, like the initial review. Maybe that's what they meant.
Oh, I mean, if yes, I mean, if you submit, I'm not going to provide in-depth feedback. I'm going to send you a, if it gets rejected or something, I'm going to say, oh, there's too much blood and gore or wrong category or something like that. But so that's the type of feedback you'll get if your thing is if your film is rejected. So it won't be that helpful. It's mainly just if you made a technical error.
Um, Insidious asked if we could briefly touch on what we want from the BTS video. Uh, I would say that that is entirely up to you, and however you want to share the process you went through making what you made. If you want some really great references of the BTS videos, Maddie, last year's submissions are still on the site, right?
Yeah, if you go to the site in two places, we have here I'll screen share. You can see some great examples of every category. So you share my screen again.
Let me get you up here.
Yeah.
Boom.
So if you go to our previous winners, you can see season 1. So from 6 months ago, all of the different winners from narrative, music video. We had a slightly different categories. Behind the scenes was one of them, and for any of them, we have first, second, third. You can click into them, and you can watch them. We have them right there on the website, so you can see some great examples. And then also for the new categories, we have different example videos for those too. For example, marketing and advertising. We have some great kind of example videos there, trailers. The Reifenstahl one is there as well, rendering in VFX. So if you need some inspiration, check out the Project Odyssey website, and then you can go to the categories or the previous winners.
Awesome. Anything else from any one of you before we kind of wrap this up?
Neon, it has to be under R. No mature content.
Yes, please don't submit a rated M video. Please do not spend all your time making a rated M video to submit it and then wonder why it was rejected.
Yeah, of course, we accept art house cinema, right? If you want to do a horror film, but if it wouldn't be allowed on YouTube, it probably won't be allowed in our competition. And yes, you can re-edit things and you can make new submissions. Cool.
I saw somebody made a comment made me really happy. They said Project Odyssey pushed me to make my first AI film.
Mm-hmm.
That's really great.
I think that's a sentiment that we're going to see echoed a lot from a lot of people that are submitting things.
I think last year it was maybe around 40 or 50% was first time AI filmmaker. So great. And yes, you can submit to more than one category. All the rules are on the website as we close up, but I'll hand it over to Tyler to close us out.
Awesome. Well, with all of that being said, guys, you have until the 19th to get your submissions in. Don't stress about whether or not you're submitting it before then. Just get them in by the 19th. Take all the time before then you need to put as much care and tighten up all your loose ends before submitting it. I'm really excited to watch the ones that make it through the preliminary round. Last year was crazy. I know this year is going to be even crazier. I want to give a big thank you to everybody who joined us on here today. Thank you guys for joining our little community here on the stream. And
one last thing, Tyler, before
yes.
you close this out.
Yes.
Please, if you finish your film, please share it on social media. Tag us. Share the word about Project Odyssey to your AI filmmaking friends and collaborators by growing the competition. Although maybe it'll add more competition to the categories. It really helps us bring on more sponsors. Give bigger prizes. And grow the competition because they want to see growth in terms of number of people competing, number of submissions, great work that's being attached to it. So please spread the word and help our, it's a community collaboration. And we're doing this not for profit, but to help everyone get better.
And make sure when you post your things on social media, you are tagging at Hello Civitai and at Project Odyssey, and we will share it. You do not have to keep your videos secret until the competition is finished. Once you're done with your video and you submit it, feel free to share it, tag us. We will reshare on Twitter. We will reshare on Instagram. Maddie, anything else from you?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, look, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We have a week and 3 days, I guess, left. I guess that's the more proper timeline for this. A week and 3 days before the submissions close, and we could not be more hyped. Yeah, thank you to our panel. And just a call out for tomorrow, for those of you that usually join us on the streams, you're going to want to be here tomorrow. We're going to be joined by our good friend Lola Viscera, and her and I are actually going to be building an AI VFX video live on the stream for you guys. I went down to Waikiki Beach, where I live in Honolulu, and got some cool video footage of the beach down there. And we're going to see what type of Lola Viscera monster creation we can put in the ocean for all the tourists down there. And that's what we'll be building on stream tomorrow. And then we're going to be bringing it to life and making a social media post out of it. So you're not going to want to miss that. It's going to be a full process breakdown. We're going to talk about everything we're doing. Once again, everybody, Claire, Yijit, Jack, Eliza, thank you so much for joining us. Maddie, a pleasure as always. And be sure to tag us in all of your AI videos on social media at Project Odyssey and at Hello Civitai. Guys, we'll be back at 3 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Peace.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, guys, give me 1 second.